Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope you're doing well, having the time of your life. I certainly am. I think you can tell every day. It's just a party over here. I just got back from several days in Seattle. It was dreamy and fabulous. I know I told you some of the fun things that we did, but I also was able to bring back some treasures. I sourced some fabulous wine for our next supper club, which is part supper club, part wine and food pairing masterclass. It's so fun. We're creating an entire beautiful menu to pair gorgeously with these yummy wines that I just picked up in Seattle, all by female winemakers, or where women have a prominent role in the production of these beautiful vineyards and cellars. And we're going to put together a gorgeous meal while you're standing around my kitchen island. It's so fun. And we'll hear the stories of these fantastic winemakers, these different varietals, why they pair so beautifully. And then we'll head to the dining room and enjoy our glorious creation. I'm so excited. So if you are local or you live near an airport and you would love to come to Supper Club, that is on Friday night, March 28th. The link is down in the show notes. You can get all the details, but I would be delighted to have you around my kitchen island and then around my dining room table. It's going to be so fun. We only have a few spots left, so act quickly. Hopefully there will still be a space by the time you click that link. And I want to also talk about that, besides the fact that I'm excited about these bottles I lugged home in my suitcase. There's just something so magical, life-changing, inspiring, light bulb turning awning about conversation that we find ourselves in, that of course we're open and curious about meeting new people. And, sometimes that happens around the table at Supper Club. It's one of my favorite things. They're just these deep, beautiful conversations with people that didn't know each other a couple of hours before, and now we are just in it. It's so beautiful. And that is what I experience here on the podcast, creating these episodes for you and for me. It's all about, I'm saying yes to myself. This is how I am saying yes to myself in this season, is opening up my calendar, opening up my heart, opening up my mind to be present for these beautiful, divinely appointed conversations. And I am telling you, today's guest reminded me of how much I love this podcast, how much I love learning new things, how much I love growing and expanding into the highest and best version of myself. I know that that is your desire as well, and I am confident that you are going to adore today's guest, Bronwyn Schweigerdt. She is a licensed psychotherapist. She is an anger expert, and she helps her clients and her podcast listeners come back to life through integrating with their inner child, dislodging shame, and healing their relationship with anger. Her presence is just a hug. Her demeanor is an invitation to listen, to hold space for yourself. It's just, she's beautiful. I love her so much. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. And I know that you are going to want some more Bronwyn in your life. And lucky you, and lucky me, lucky us. She has a podcast and it is called Angry at the Right Things. And we will link all of that down in the show notes. So listen to this podcast, number one. Number two, fall in love with Bronwyn like me. And number three, go over to her podcast, Angry at the Right Things, and subscribe and follow and all those good things and listen to her beautiful wisdom and insight on her podcast as well. Okay, my lovies, you are in for a total treat, and I cannot wait to hear your feedback. DM me on Instagram, shoot me an email at podcast@phineaswrighthouse.com. I can't wait to hear what you think of this beautiful conversation with Bronwyn Schweigerdt. Bronwyn, I am so looking forward to this conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, Wendy.
It's going to be fun. So we just found out, or I just found out before we hit record, that we were both California girls. So that's always, it's always fun to connect with somebody. A lot of people that I meet in Massachusetts, they usually leave here and move to California. Not many people go the opposite direction.
Yeah, I'm originally from Ohio, but I've been in California most of my life. Yeah.
Oh, it's a good place. And you've landed in a good spot. I like it there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. So let's just start with the question I ask all of my guests, and that is, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
Yeah, that's such a good question. There's so many ways I could respond. I mean, just a simple one is, it's late, it's the last day of October today, and that, it's hard to lose daylight. I think it is for most of us. And so I've just been saying yes to myself, I guess, in I dance a lot of times like between clients and just in my office, which is my room. And yeah, so I've just been doing that, making sure I do that every day because it just kind of breathes life into me more and just taking advantage of, that daylight time.
I love that you dance in between clients.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. Don't tell my neighbors.
I won't tell your neighbors. That is so fun.
It's really life-giving. I mean, I just dance as no one is watching, kind of cliche. Like that's how I dance, and it just feels like breathing. Like it feels like inhaling and exhaling.
I can totally see how that would be so,
Mm.
because I would not consider myself a good dancer. I was a wedding planner for 30 years, so I stand in the back of the room with the clipboard, making sure everyone's having a good time, but
Yeah.
I'm not the one on the dance floor. And it would definitely be dancing as if no one was watching. And I can see how this is, as a practice in presence, that
Mhm.
would be for me, because I'm not a dancer, that it would take so much intention that I can imagine the relief would also be proportional to what my exercise was.
Mm.
I'm in the practice of meditating,
Mhm.
so I know that I'm getting to a different place, and it's usually, if it's not the morning, which is my normal practice, I'm meditating because something has said, "Okay, left to your own devices, this is not gonna go to a good place, so
Yeah.
let's take some time and breathe deeply." But what an infusion of fun.
Well, it's like my body can just it's like I let my body just do what it wants to do. I pick, songs that my body really enjoys with a
Yes.
certain tempo and a certain beat and even the lyrics. But yeah, it's like a release and it's almost like my body's kind of working things out, like celebrating things from the day, but also like working things out in other ways. And it's amazing what it does for my brain. I'll just start thinking about things differently, but it's also intuitive. And I think it's very cathartic. Yeah.
Right, I love everything about that, and it's so good. I mean, I'm so fascinated. This is not what I thought we were gonna spend this much time on, but I love it because, if I don't have time to go for a walk or it's
Yeah.
snowing or it just
Yeah.
has all of these benefits that you just mentioned. And, sometimes we find ourselves in conversations that are heavy, they're weighty, they require us to show up in, a more intense energy or just
Mhm.
something that we might need to shake off a little bit at the end of that so that we're not carrying it into whatever's next.
Yeah. So my last podcast episode is actually, I titled it "Our Bodies Are Always Speaking to Us," and so I'm going
Mm.
kind of more these days. I try to keep up with whatever I'm learning as a therapist in my podcast, and so I've just learned more and more, and hopefully will always be learning. But how our bodies, how they are always speaking to us. They're always attempting to communicate, and we don't listen. Yeah, so I've noticed myself, I mean, I go into detail, but, like, one of the things I notice is I'll have, like, lower back pain a lot, and I've had lower back pain on and off my whole life. I've never really thought, "Oh, it's speaking my body's speaking to me." I've never thought that until being a therapist and doing all this somatic work with my clients, and my current belief is that our backs are kind of where we dissociate from feelings in the front of our body. So, like, when
Ooh.
we feel neck pain, I see that as like a resistance, like not wanting to feel a certain way.
And how it's like on the back of the throat
Yeah, not wanting to say something.
or using our voice. Oh my gosh.
Yes, yes. It's like, yes, exactly. That's a good point. I didn't really think of that. Makes sense. Yeah, and then upper back pain is, I see anger as usually in our chest, and so it's a dissociation from just anger, and then lower back pain is dissociating from our gut, and our gut is where we either feel shame, which I call self-disgust, or just disgust. So we're either feeling disgusted ourselves or disgusted at someone else, and I think for me, a lot of these people who are just so wicked to my clients triggers up a lot of the disgust I felt as a child with my parents, because it's usually their parents, and now it triggers up little Bronwyn, how she felt with her parents, who did a lot of the same evil things. And yeah, and so I'm not like letting myself acknowledge that during the session, so it goes over to my lower back. And so I talk about this as well, where I do an integration exercise. I call it an integration exercise with myself, let's say between sessions. And I'll just say, little Bronwyn, I know you feel a lot of disgust at these people who are just so evil in so many ways. And I know it triggers up how you felt so much of your life. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there for you. I'm sorry I abandoned you. I didn't validate that. I'm sorry I didn't protect you more. But I hear you loud and clear now, and I am listening, and I validate those feelings. And you know what? I am going to protect you from that now. And you're safe now. And then my back pain usually diminishes.
Oh my gosh. That's phenomenal, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be having this conversation. I love for me, I'm not a therapist, and I am new to learning about somatic work and unlearning a lot of things is what I'm doing right now, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
The name of your podcast, Angry at the Right Things, it's just so good, and I find that I was blissfully ignorant for a very long time, and that I didn't realize. it was a total trauma response.
Mm,
And as I learn more and see more and experience more, I do feel like I am getting angry at the right things.
mm,
And when something comes up in me that I'm triggered by something, I surprise myself by the way I feel about
mm.
something. Usually, the old me would have said, "Oh, well, that's not appropriate. Let's just put that away or put a happy face sticker on that or think of, oh, look, birds are singing. Let's come
Ah,
over here." Or,
right.
just whatever I needed, which
Yeah,
obviously those all sound like trauma responses.
yeah.
But now, when something like that comes, I'm like, "Ooh, ooh, that's a growth edge. That's shadowy. Let's get a flashlight in there. I wanna know." And not because I'm frustrated and I think I'm somehow ever going to be completely done with all the shadowy stuff, but I'm just eager. I'm eager to be a better version of myself
Mm,
for me. Like, I'm
mhm,
eager to show up in a way that matches who I'm becoming. And I want to parent from that place. I want to podcast from that place. I want to
mhm.
lead trips to France from that place. I want to flower farm from that place. I just like that's who I am becoming. And I get excited when I can find a correlation. So this beautiful conversation is already helping me almost be eager for some future back pain to find out, just to think, okay, is this because I'm shoveling snow or is this because I'm holding some rage and resentment about shoveling snow or about whatever else, right?
That's right, exactly. So, yeah, so it sounds like, first of all, you're learning to be more curious,
Yes.
and I love it that moving towards these feelings that people call negative. I really don't like calling them negative. They're just
Right.
maybe uncomfortable might be the best
Mhm.
word, but they're there for a reason, and
Yeah.
avoiding them does not make them go away. And I like to say, maybe we don't see anger, maybe we don't see disgust, but just because they're invisible doesn't mean they're any less real than the chair I'm sitting on right now.
Right.
And just ignoring them does not allow them to just dissipate. They
Yeah.
will stagnate in our bodies and make us sick.
Yes.
And the goal isn't to pretend like they don't exist.
Right.
And when we do believe they're negative, we tend to have shame and we tend to so shame just creates that problem. But when we can go, you know what? I'm human and there's nothing wrong with having any feelings. All feelings are feelings. They're not good or bad or right or wrong. And they're not shameful. And I'm not shameful. I'm a human and they're there for a reason. And my goal is to understand why they're there and then learn how to channel them out of my body in a healthy
Yeah.
way. So if I feel disgust, you know, I'm going to channel it out of my body in a healthy way. Let's say I'm talking to someone and I'm feeling disgust by like how they're talking about other people.
Mhm.
And so my goal isn't to channel it out of my body in a way where I'm returning, I'm in a like fashion to be disgusting back to them. My goal is, that disgust in my gut is there to give me wisdom and give me vital information. And so I can channel out in a wise way by maybe saying, you know, I'm I'm really like uncomfortable with what I'm hearing. It's pretty disturbing. And so I'm gonna ask you not to talk like that about people, or maybe we should just end this conversation. And so that is treating them with respect and dignity. I don't have to return like for like. That's not my goal.
Right. Oh my gosh. I could talk to you all day.
Mhm.
Okay. This is which I know is very expensive because you're a therapist. I thank you so much for this conversation already. I love this concept of turning that to wisdom because I heard several not several, maybe 3 years ago, um, a podcast interview. Kathy Heller was interviewing this woman. She was a survivor of a concentration camp, and I can't recall her name, but she is an amazing, phenomenal human.
Mm,
And what something she said in that conversation was,
mhm.
"What you get out of your body can't make you sick."
Mm,
And
wow.
I really latched onto that, and during that time, I had this amazing group of women. I still have them, but we spoke weekly. We did
Mm,
that for like 3.5 years, spoke weekly, and we had a Facebook Messenger chat that would be on fire every single day, all day long. And
mm,
so I remember when I heard that, I went right into that group and shared that. And
mm,
we started a practice then of, I am just getting this out of my body. And we
mm.
would say, write, type, whatever
Yeah,
the
yep.
thing was, and nobody needed to fix it or give us advice or whatever. We
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
needed a space to get it out.
yeah.
And that practice has served me so well. And
Mhm,
I feel like I'm able to also hold that kind of space for people. I tell them, like, I have this bucket. I'm going to hold this space for you, but my bucket has no bottom. So I'm actually not
mhm.
keeping it. I'm not gonna hold on to it. It's not gonna
Yeah,
affect my day, but just this
yeah.
practice of holding the space for you. So that has been really helpful for me over those years, but I'm loving the opportunity and the awareness to kind of up level that practice, because I don't want to stay there and I don't want to get this out of my body to 14 different people, because that's
Mm,
just that's actually just
mm.
talking about something I don't want to be happening. That's not
Mhm,
getting it out of my body anymore. So, are there some other ways or ideas that you have? I loved that of turning it to wisdom. Do you
mm,
have, for different parts of your body, are
mhm.
there different things that you can call on?
Oh, yeah. There's so much. Yeah. So I like what you were saying about getting out of your body into words. And that is the key because I remember when I was training as a therapist, my supervisor was like, "Oh, with this client, just she's so angry, have her get a punching bag." And I'm like, "That doesn't work. I've tried
Mm-mm.
that. I know it doesn't work." And what I realized what does work is getting it out into words. It really needs to be in words. So when I have a client and I'm like, "What are you feeling right now?" As they're telling me something, "What do you feel in your body?" And they'll say, "Oh, my fists are clenched." I'll say, "Okay, I want you to let your fists speak, not your brain, the
Mm,
fists. Like, what do they want to say in fantasy?
yeah,
Raw and unedited. So don't
right.
filter it with this organ, your brain.
Yeah.
Raw and unedited. What do they want to say to your mom when she did that? Or whoever they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's huge. So just like whatever you're feeling in your body, how can I express this in fantasy? And I love that you have these girlfriends, but I walk around the house and I'm talking out loud to those
Mm-hmm.
people on my own, and I'll just be like, "Oh, really? That's funny." And so, yeah, I might sound crazy, but it feels so good because I really believe whatever is left unsaid needs to be said. And sometimes those things come up while I'm vacuuming my room. And so I'll say them while I'm vacuuming. Sometimes they come when I'm, doing my hair in the morning, whatever. And I'll just say it right then and there if I have that opportunity. Like the example I gave, with someone who's being a hater, and I'm saying, I'm really uncomfortable. It's really disturbing to hear this. I'm not attacking them. I'm not saying you're disturbing. I'm
Right.
saying I'm feeling uncomfortable. This is disturbing to hear. And so what we can do is bring that accountability with us wherever we go. And we're doing it in this objective way where we're narrating. I talk a lot about this too on my podcast is
Mm-hmm.
narrating versus responding or reacting. So I give the example of I took my dog, she was on her last legs. I took her to a vet appointment. I just wanted a professional to say, yeah, it's time to put her down, because it's hard
Sorry.
to make that
Yeah.
decision on your own, right?
Yeah.
And this is like
Yeah.
8 months ago. And I took her in. The vet was horrible. She did not look
Ugh,
me in the eyes. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't make any eye contact at all. I had just told the whole thing, the whole spiel to the vet tech who'd come in a few minutes before, who said she was going to tell the vet. Well, the vet had no clue what I had told the vet tech. And then I said, well, you're asking me what we're doing here. I just told the vet tech, and it sounds like you don't know. And she goes, oh, yeah, she told me. I go, okay, well,
oh,
I guess I'll reiterate. So, I held her accountable every step of the way. So
right.
I guess I'll reiterate. And at one point I said, I just want to put my dog down before I start to resent her. I was being very honest because
Oh,
anyone who's
yeah.
had a pet who's dying and they're losing bowel
Yeah.
control, and I had 4 other pets at the time.
Right. It's like, I don't want to be mad at you because you're so sweet
Yeah,
and you're
and yeah,
dying. Yeah.
that's one of many things. It's also I don't want her to resent me because she's in pain and she's suffering.
Right.
So
Right. And she's like, we were just at the vet. Why didn't you do it then?
yeah,
The
exactly.
dog. Right.
So I was honest. I said I before I resent her, and she just had a problem with that. That was like all she heard, and she barely looked at my dog, barely looked at her. And she goes, "Well, if you bathe her and groom her more, then she wouldn't be, in this situation." And I just paused and I look at her and I said, "So this is the narration piece. This is example." I said, "I am hearing a lot of judgment and insinuation that I am not a faithful and responsible dog owner. And that's making me feel really resentful." And she did not apologize or make eye contact. But what she did do is she did a 180. She starts looking at my dog and she goes, oh, I am seeing like a lot of yeast infection like on her abdomen area, and I'm seeing her scratching a lot and a lot of muscle atrophy. Yes, I think it is time to put her down. So I finally got what I came for,
Right.
and I just had to be narrate and just name it. Just
Right.
name what's going on in an objective sense. And so
Yeah.
when we do that with people, it is empowering because
Yes.
I didn't have to, storm out of there. I got what I paid my $80 for.
Right.
It's empowering. And the other thing is we are being a mirror to those
Yeah.
people. We're giving them a true reflection, and really like people I call monster people. I'm not certain she was a monster, but she was behaving a little
I
monster
don't
like.
know.
Yeah, she was behaving a little monster like there.
Monster adjacent.
Monster, yeah, related or something. But when we are a mirror and when we give them a true reflection of themselves, they are allergic to that. It's like
Yeah.
they're a vampire and we have garlic, or
Mhm.
whatever. And they cannot tolerate that. So if that's like a relative of yours that you're going to see at Thanksgiving or at a holiday soon, if you give them a little mirroring, then they will stop messing with you because they don't want any more of that ever again. And they are going to realize, oh, Wendy is a force to be reckoned with. I can't get away
That's
with
right. She
that
is.
that, belittling of her or that
Mhm.
passive aggressiveness. I can't get away because she's gonna hold me accountable with that mirroring.
Right. Right. I love so many things about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I also love what you said was, I got what I came here for.
That's right.
And that is really important because you didn't go to the vet for the vet to think that you are whatever, a good person, a great dog
Mm.
owner, the best
Right.
client she's ever had. And that I won't speak for everybody. I'll speak for me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel and I've been aware of this more often. So the universe is mirroring it to myself. I'm really attached to people thinking I'm amazing.
Sure.
And especially if they've already said it once, then if now something has come up that I need to use my voice or ask for
Mm.
what I want, need, desire. And I think, oh, but what if they don't think I'm amazing anymore? Because now I'm
Mm,
needy. I went from amazing to needy in like one. I mean, it's so silly. I'm really,
mm.
thank you for letting me have this conversation because
Yeah,
it's really fascinating. And I think that the aversion to setting a boundary like that, to practicing that mirroring is like, oh, but I can't even imagine what they're going to say next.
yeah,
And that is a distraction from our growth, from us using our agency, for us standing in our own power, is
yeah.
because we already don't know what they're going to say next, but we do have agency over what we say now.
Right. So what you're getting at, and I'm glad you named that because I do think most people struggle with this, men and women, especially women more so, which is we want other people's approval.
Mhm.
We're not aware of it, as
Right.
much as you're naming it, but we need to be self-aware. And that is codependency. That is
Totally.
like the basis of what codependency is. And the thing is, if we long for others' approval or recognition, we're not free
Yeah.
to be true to ourselves. We're going to be enmeshed with them, even if it's a stranger you've never met or a vet you're never going to see again, what have you. You're enmeshed with them and you're going to give them what you think they want, but
Right.
you will betray yourself in the process. And betraying ourselves is the perfect recipe for a depressive episode or anxiety or panic. When we betray ourselves, we're going to get sick. We will. Like,
Mhm.
there is no doubt. So, what is really fundamental here is I lead my clients and then again, my podcast listeners. I put this on the episode so they can do it for themselves. So, I lead them in what I call an integration exercise where they picture their young self. Maybe it was a time where their little self felt mommy's approval. It
Mhm.
was really salient because that was very rare. Got mommy's praise or daddy's praise or whatever. And so maybe they're 7 or 8. And so they see themselves, they close their eyes, they picture, little Wendy when she's 8 and she like won the spelling bee and mom is like, wow, it was one of those rare times she had mom's complete utter approval. And so you picture little Wendy at age 8. So I walk that person through and I say, I want you to enter that memory. Adult Wendy enters that memory. She looks little Wendy in the eyes. She gets down on her level and she says, little Wendy, I know how amazing it feels to be recognized and to be accepted and approved of like you are right now. And I know how addictive that is and how you'll do anything to get more of that. But what I need you to know is that you've won my approval. And my approval won't wax or wane. It's here to stay because it's not what you do that I approve of. It's your heart. It's who you are on the inside. And you won my heart the day you were born before you could do anything. And you'll have my love and my approval until the day you leave this earth. And nothing you do or say can ever jeopardize that or ever, take away from it. And because you have my approval and my love, and I will never abandon you. I will never reject you. And you belong to me. Then now you have me and you'll never be alone ever again. You're free. We're free to disappoint the hell out of everyone else. Because all I ask, little Wendy, is that you are true to me from here on out.
You're very good at this. All my listeners know if I cry, this is how you know I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I received that. And
It's powerful.
it is powerful.
Mhm.
And I appreciate the tenderness
Mhm.
and the sauciness
Mm.
of disappointing the hell out of people.
That's right.
because I've been up to quite a lot of that lately,
Mm,
and it feels empowering. It doesn't
mm,
feel like that feels good because I'm making someone else feel bad. It feels good to
yeah,
show up for myself,
that's right.
and it's unfamiliar.
Mm,
And so that can get a little uncomfortable, and then that
mm,
can make me crave comfort,
mm,
which comes from the familiar,
yeah.
which then makes me a different kind of uncomfortable. And so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, most of us grow up believing or being conditioned to feel responsible for other people's feelings.
I'm really good at that too.
Sure, yeah.
I'm amazing at that, actually.
This is one of the things we have to unlearn. And
Yeah,
again, especially women, I think we are more groomed to and conditioned to believe that we are responsible for other people's feelings. And that's what we have to unlearn because I like to say, like, gravity, you don't see it, but you know it is a universal law. Well, there is this universal boundary as well that is invisible, but is as real as gravity. And that is, we are only responsible for our feelings.
that's right.
And I say to my clients, you might feel responsible for other people's feelings, but it's actually impossible. And
Mhm.
you might try to be responsible for other people's feelings, but you will die trying. And we cannot simultaneously believe we're responsible for others' feelings and be responsible for our own. It is
Right,
an either or.
right.
And so when we realize, oh, I'm responsible to others, but never for others,
Mm,
but I
yeah,
am responsible for me.
right.
And we start to appropriate that universal law, that universal boundary, we are free. And then when we
Yeah,
give ourselves that approval that we long for, and we are true to ourselves, we become a force to be reckoned with in the best way. And I
yeah,
like to say that there will be people who have an adverse reaction to that. Well, good. So be it. Like, let it be. But for the most part, when we start to flourish like a tree that flourishes and becomes big and gives shade and refuge to thousands of
yeah,
critters and habitat and soil, integrity and bears
yeah.
fruit. When we become like that, the world desperately needs a flourishing human,
Yes,
right? And so we need to
yes.
stop limiting ourselves.
That's a giant yes. Thank you for that. It really is because it is, I'm sure, conditioning and so much
Mhm.
of our practice, and why I'm have this podcast to normalize saying yes to yourself. It's not what happens last, it's what happens first,
Yeah.
which gives you the bandwidth required to
Mhm.
be responsible to all of the people in your charge. I love that differentiation between responsible to and responsible for.
Mhm.
We talk on the podcast a lot about giving from our saucer. So we fill our cup
Mhm.
until it overflows. And from the overflow is what we give people. When the saucer is empty, we fill our cup again and give from our saucer, but not from our cup because you can't, obviously, we all know,
Mhm. Yeah.
pour from an empty cup.
Mhm.
And I love that this is a beautiful self care practice, that being true to you, showing up for yourself, identifying when in your younger years you had this feeling and talking to her, because there is so much tenderness in communicating with a child.
Yeah.
And I think that that is really pivotal in how we are showing up in our day to day. It's just a reflection of how we're showing up for ourselves. And so if we are having circumstance or after circumstance mirrored to us of being disappointed,
Mm.
that that's an opportunity for us to see where we are not showing up and not validating our own needs and not
Yeah,
being responsible for ourselves.
that's right.
I love everything about that.
Thank
I love everything that you're doing. I love
you.
your approach and message on the same thread of setting that kind of boundary, of narrating, of being responsible for ourselves.
Mm,
Somatically speaking,
yeah.
how is our body giving us a clue
Mm.
that we're not doing that?
Yeah, so paying attention to our body at all times. I'll give you an example of recent. This is going to be in my next episode. I'll talk about this. I just had to end a friendship of over 20 years. And
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. It took a while for,
Mhm.
really to see her really objectively, clearly. So I talk about how we nurture ourselves, that's self nurture, we nurture others. But when someone only wants your nurture and they don't really reciprocate, and they also, if you all they want is empathy and understanding, but they're never willing to rise up to the challenge. They don't want to hear the challenge.
Mm,
No, they
right,
just want to be the victim. They want all the empathy in the world because they're an innocent victim, but they don't want to do anything
right.
and all of that. So kind of seeing that play out, I call those people like black holes because they're never going to self nurture. They just want your nurture.
Right. Energy vampires.
Yeah. And they're not really going to give back. They're only going to
Yeah.
give back maybe as much as it takes to keep getting the nurture from you.
Mm,
So some are
interesting.
better at it than others. Like if they don't give you back any nurture, it's easy to spot a black hole. But if they're giving you back some nurture,
Mhm.
but you're seeing like, oh, you're just a black hole, you're never going to nurture yourself. I've wasted how many hours of my life.
And they say how they feel so much better after being with you, and you're like, "I'm depleted."
Yeah, because you're never going to do a single thing that I'm encouraging you to do. So, what I experienced though, and I've experienced this in the past as well, but not related to a friendship, I started um, just being super hungry,
Interesting.
like super hungry. And it only happened for a few days this time. I've had it in the past where, man, I gained so much weight so fast because I didn't realize it was psychosomatic.
Mm.
But anyway, this time I'm just eating and then I'm like, wait, why am I eating so voraciously? I'm like, oh my God, it's the emptiness. It's the emptiness in my gut. Oh, I know what that is. That's from someone who I really believed, because our gut, our
Mhm.
uterus in particular for women, for men, it can be the actual intestine. For women, it's more our uterus. That's the womb, and it's associated with nurture. And so
Oh,
in Hebrew,
wow.
it's the same root word as compassion. Womb and compassion are one the same. And so when we are expecting someone to nurture us and we're realizing we're waking up like they're actually not really nurturing me, we can feel an emptiness. So the one I alluded to before had to do with my mom and just not getting that nurture from her. And so we'll just eat. We really will. I have a lot of clients who
Wow.
just eat and eat and eat. And I was starting to do that. And it only took a couple days before I'm like, oh, I need to like formally end this friendship because I knew I was out,
Mhm.
but I hadn't communicated anything. And so I just
Sure.
had to write an email and just be like, it's over. And this is why you're a black hole, in essence. And that's when my gut just felt normal again.
Wow.
Yeah. So our bodies are always speaking to us. I mean, always. So that's an example.
That's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. Very generous of you. And what I'm hearing is that our bodies are always speaking to us.
Mhm.
And immediately I'm thinking of, people are talking about menopause and how your body changes. And then
Yeah.
there's just this well, it's menopause, so that's the way it is now or something. And it's almost like we're gaslighting ourselves
Yeah,
because,
I
oh, it
agree.
must be this, or it must be jet
Yeah.
lag, or it must be, I'm like, no, it's been a really long time. And the pants fit me for 22 years
Mhm.
and now they don't. And nothing has changed. So what is going on?
Well, yeah, and I actually believe it's the other way around. So when I ended the friendship, the other thing that happened that I didn't mention, and my daughter appreciates this because she and I both have naturally curly hair. She's like, "Mom, your curl came back."
Oh,
Because my hair has over my life become more straight and then it gets more curly.
hmm,
And it absolutely is hormonal. And I'm like, oh my God, our hormones do have a huge influence. So when we talk about menopause, hormones, whatever, but how do we know those hormones aren't caused because we're 50 and we're like, okay, the kids are grown, yada, yada. What the hell am I doing where I'm at in life? How do we know that the hormones aren't absolutely influenced by our feelings that we're like
right,
ignoring?
right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and
Yes.
yes.
Because menopause is the age where, for us women, I think a lot of us are like, the fantasy of having, the white picket fence and the perfect family has come and gone. And we're like, what am I doing
Right.
now? Do I still want to stay married? Where am I at with my career? Where am I at with my life? Let's reevaluate. The fantasy isn't possible anymore. Like, we can't even like pretend anymore. So I don't know that menopause on its own is it's just hormonal. It's
Yeah.
absolutely, emotional too.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother podcast that I would love to have that conversation with you because I think there are so many worlds colliding
Mhm.
at that time in our lives.
Yeah.
And we were tired, but also invigorated. And all the people that we've given so much traditionally,
Mhm.
that's the age you are when they move out. I happen to have a
Mhm.
10-year-old
Mm.
because I started as an empty nester and now I'm gonna end with this amazing human in my life.
Yeah.
So it's just corporate jobs are changing or kids are going to college and there's a pandemic. So we've got all of this time and focus to really shake out what am I doing? And
Mm.
these were decisions that I made like
Mhm.
14 lifetimes ago. And now, like, who do I want to be? And
Yeah.
can you stay married through menopause? You betcha. But is it going to be the same marriage that you had? Probably not. If you are wanting this
Hopefully not.
thriving, right? Like, if you want it to be thriving, like, yes, you can
Yeah.
grow and together
Yeah.
and at different times, all the things. I personally couldn't, but I just feel like all of these things are happening. It's perfect storm is what's coming to mind.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect matrix of awakening. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. We can
Yeah.
be, do, and have anything we desire. And now we actually believe that and can step into it and it's brilliant and fabulous.
Yeah.
And if we can own it and take the steps and not gaslight ourselves or have other people do that on our behalf and we just keep quiet and tolerate
Mhm.
what's not serving us.
That's right.
So, with dis-ease
Mm.
and how it is linked to situations, to emotions, to things we're hanging on to,
Mm.
is the integration method the best way, or is that one tool we can use, or what would you suggest to this? Because I know that there's a correlation, and I know because if my body is keeping score And if
Mm,
my body is talking to me, and if I'm raising this 10-year-old who I'm telling all the time to listen to her body, I've been saying that since she was 2, and
mm,
I love that she does that, and it's helping me do it also.
mhm.
I'm just more aware of the connectedness of all of this, of the connectedness of items on the left side of my body compared to the right, and the feminine and the masculine, and all of those things. What are you noticing, and what have you found in this beautiful time of awakening for women in their 50s that is in service?
So I think there's something about kind of getting to this age and maybe we're kind of waking up and going, well, I've nurtured this child or these children, if you have, and not everyone has, or these pets or
Right?
my partner. I've nurtured the
Mhm.
partner, whoever. But what about me? Like, how am I going to nurture me? How am I going to be responsible for me now? Like, how do I spread my wings and fly? And so the integration exercise is really asking ourselves at any age, body, what are you speaking? Little Bronwyn, what are you speaking? Adult Bronwyn, what do you need? What do you, because our feelings tell us our needs. And
Mm.
so, what am I feeling? If I'm feeling kind of like a boredom, a restlessness,
Mm.
well, that tells me what I need. What do I need? What does my body want to do? What is my imagination? When I let it just run wild, what does it picture me doing? What have I always wanted to do? Maybe I haven't thought about since I was 8, but what did I want to do then? What did I what nurtured me then? And coming back to that root and being integrated with our inner child in that way, like, how have I betrayed myself lifelong these last 40
Mm.
years, What did little Bronwyn always imagined she would do that I'm not realizing now? And, it's interesting too, because you said earlier, Wendy, the person that you wanna become, you used a terminology like that. So that person that we all wanna become, that we all are moving towards is a whole person.
Yeah.
It's an integrated person. In the Hebrew, the word to describe them is tamim, which gets often translated as perfect, but it's not perfect like in the sense that we think of as perfect. It's more perfect as in complete.
Mm.
So still human, still making mistakes, but complete, meaning what you see is what you get. There's no compartmentalized parts of us
Mm.
where I'm hiding what I think you might not like.
Right.
I am integrated. Like what you see is what you get right now and consistent. I'm
Yeah.
not super different with my partner than I am with you, than I am with this person. I am consistent.
Right.
And the word in Spanish for ripe fruit is maduro, which is like mature. So, like a ripe
Ah.
avocado is maduro, mature. So, when we become whole, we become integrated, we become complete, we are consistent, and we are mature. We're like ripe fruit.
Mm.
We're ripe to like bring flavor and deliciousness to the world, right?
Oh, I love that.
Isn't
And
that so cool?
oh, it's so beautiful. Yes. And I love the idea of the practice
Mhm,
of investigating the answers to those
mhm,
questions. It takes some time. It takes intention. It doesn't take forever. It doesn't take so long that no one should start, but it
mm,
takes a journal. For me,
mhm,
I'm a writer,
mhm,
a journal and a practice. And you can start with the prompt, what does it look like to thrive? Or what do I want? What do I even want? Even that practice, answering that question for 30 days, and not just one thing, but just free
mm.
form. It's like, I
Yeah,
want
yeah,
more sleep. I want more money. I want someone else to fold my laundry. I want someone else to do my hair. I want, like, you just kind of find out what you want when you're on a rant.
yeah.
not that you're angry, like not sometimes when we say we want more of something, it's actually focusing on less that we
Mm,
have. But,
mm,
just holding space for yourself to write out these things. You can write the answer to that question for 30 days and then
mhm.
go back and read it
Yeah.
and circle the things that are repeated and go, oh gosh, apparently I really do want someone else to do my hair because I said that 14 out of 30 days. And, just this investigative, like me with my flashlight, looking at all the shadowy spaces. It's giving yourself space to dream. It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. I think that
It
is true. Engaging our imagination, dreaming, just seeing where it leads us. Yeah.
it's so good. Okay, I adore you. I have loved this conversation.
Me
I'm
too.
so happy you have a podcast so that I can just have you in my ear all the time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you and listen to the podcast and anything else that you want us to know.
Yeah. So, yeah, my podcast is just for everyone who wants to move towards being more complete, really. And it's called Angry at the Right Things, and it's found wherever you subscribe to your podcast.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bronwyn. This has been delightful.
Thank you, Wendy.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.